This flight costs $199. By the time Alex walks back through his front door 2 days later, it will have cost him $610. He won't fly first class. He won't step into a lounge. He won't get a bigger seat, a free meal, or a single upgrade worth bragging about. He'll pay $400 extra just to make a cheap ticket actually usable. And the scary part? At no point does anyone ask him for $400. Nobody ever will. That's exactly why it works. This is the airport pricing trap. And once you see how it's built, you'll never book a flight the same way again. Meet Alex, 29, flying across the country for the wedding of one of his closest friends. The trip matters. The budget doesn't stretch far. For 3 days, he's watched every fare hover around $300, then disappears. A round trip for $199, Friday morning out, Sunday night back. Perfect. He clicks book now before the price can change. That little rush of I won. And here's the first move in the trap, and it's psychological, not financial. Alex never asks, "What will this whole trip cost?" He asks, "Can I afford the ticket?" The moment he accepts $199 as the price, that number becomes the anchor for every decision that follows. The airline doesn't need the trip to be cheap. It only needs the first click to feel cheap. Everything after this, Alex won't be buying a trip. He'll be defending a decision he already made. Payment details in, and then the seat map. Almost every normal seat now has a price tag on it. He can skip it and let the system throw him a random seat later, probably a middle seat, back of the plane, next to the bathroom. But he's traveling alone, carrying a laptop with a tight connection. He doesn't want to gamble. An aisle seat? $17 each way, $34 total. Next to a $199 fare, $17 feels like nothing. He clicks, trip, $233. But notice, the number changed. The story in his head didn't. He still believes he's buying a $199 flight with a tiny tweak. That gap between the real total and the story we tell ourselves, that's where they live. Now baggage. And this is where it stops being optional. Wedding suit, second pair of shoes, toiletries, laptop. The ticket includes exactly one item, small enough to fit under the seat. A normal carry-on, $45 each way, 90 round trip. Watch Alex negotiate with himself. He pulls out a sweater, then a second pair of trousers. Then he pictures himself walking into a wedding with a crushed jacket and no backup. And he stops. The carry-on isn't luxury. It's the thing that makes the trip work. He pays the 90. Trip, $323. And here's the trap tightening. He doesn't reopen the search. He doesn't compare $323 to any other airline. He compares $90 to showing up looking like a mess. Once you've bought the ticket, every new fee stops being a purchase. And the next fee? It's when most people don't even realize they're being scared into and starts feeling like protecting your purchase. A new offer slides up. Priority boarding, $24. Alex almost skips it. Then he reads the fine print underneath. Overhead space may be limited. Late boarders may have to check their bags at the gate. His laptop, his wedding clothes, handed off at the gate to disappear into the hold. They're not selling him a better flight. They're selling him less fear. $24 to lower the odds that his bag gets ripped away from him. He accepts. Trip, $347. Stop and look at what just happened. The original $199 is now $148 behind him. But there was never one painful moment. No screen ever said $148. There was a $34 decision, a $90 decision, a $24 decision. Each one easy to justify alone. Together, they rewrote the entire economics of the trip. And Alex never felt the hit. Here's what the checkout page never shows you. Alex's flight leaves early Friday. Too early for public transport to get him there in time. His choice, 2 night buses and a 3-hour wait, or order a car. The car, $46. He hesitates, then remembers missing a $347 booking costs, way more than a ride. He pays. Trip, $393. That expense never touched the airline's website, but it exists only because of the flight he chose. A flight doesn't start when the plane leaves the runway. It starts when you leave your front door. Then the gate, and the word every traveler dreads. Delayed. 40 minutes, then another hour. Alex skipped breakfast, planning to eat after landing. Now he's hungry, tired, and trapped in a terminal where every option costs more time than he has. Sandwich, water, coffee, $31. Trip, $424. Would Alex ever pay $31 for that meal in real life? Never. But airport food isn't compared to real life. It's compared to hunger and to the fear that boarding starts the second you walk away. The terminal doesn't need you to love the price. It just needs you to have nowhere else to go. He finally boards, and the delay has created a new problem. He promised a work file by noon. Option 1, wait until landing and pray there's time. Option 2, buy 1 hour of in-flight Wi-Fi, $13. After 400 already gone, that's nothing, right? He buys it. Trip, $437. And here's the quiet trick. The bigger the total gets, the smaller each new charge feels. $13 next to $199 deserves a second thought. $13 next to everything he's already spent is invisible. The deeper you're in, the easier it is to go a little deeper. Saturday. The wedding is everything he hoped. Old friends, real memories, zero regret about coming. Then Saturday morning, his phone rings. His manager. A client meeting just got moved to early Monday. Alex's return lands late Sunday night. If everything goes perfectly, he makes it. One delay, and he's wrecked or stranded. He opens the app. Good news. No change fee? Sounds generous. Bad news. The earlier flight costs more. Fare difference, $121. Technically, not a penalty. Practically, changing his plans just cost him $121. He pays. Trip, $558. This is the exact moment the $199 finally stops feeling real. But look closely. Canceling isn't even on the table anymore. The outbound flight is used. The wedding already happened. He's not deciding whether to take the trip. He's only deciding how much discomfort to swallow inside a trip that already exists. That's why fragmented pricing hits hardest after you're committed. The hot question, should I even do this, is long gone. Sunday night, he lands. The earlier flight saved him time, but public transport home means 2 transfers and an hour he doesn't have before work. He orders one last car. Evening surge pricing, $52. Let's put it all on one screen. The receipt he was never shown. Advertised flight, $199. Seat selection, $34. Carry-on baggage, $90. Priority boarding, $24. Cars to slash from airport, $98. Airport food, $31. In-flight Wi-Fi, $13. Return fare difference, $121. Total, $610. Alex didn't buy a $610 flight. He bought a $199 decision and then defended it 8 times. And that's why the trap is invisible. At no point did anyone ask, would you like to spend $610 on this trip? They asked smaller questions. Want to pick your seat? Want to bring a normal bag? Want to keep your bag close? Want to reach the airport on time? Want to eat? Want to finish your work? Want to protect Monday? Want to get home before midnight? Every answer on its own was reasonable. Together, they built a price he never consciously chose. Here's the thing most people get wrong. This isn't really about expensive sandwiches or baggage fees. It's about fragmented visibility. The ticket on one screen, baggage on another, seats on another, transport in a different app, food at the terminal, Wi-Fi on the plane, scheduled changes days later. No single moment ever holds the whole cost. And when you can't see the full price, you can't resist it. The fees don't have to be secret. They just have to arrive separately. A charge can be fully visible and still be psychologically hidden, as long as it's disconnected from the total decision. And to be fair, unbundling isn't evil. A guy with just a backpack shouldn't pay for your checked suitcase. Someone who doesn't care where they sit deserves a cheaper option. That's genuinely fairer. The trap only springs when the base fare becomes the only number you use to compare flights. Because here's what Alex never did. He never compared Airline A at $199 plus everything he needed against Airline B at $289 with the bag and seat already included. He compared $199 to $289. Airline A looked $90 cheaper, but after just the seat and the bag, Airline A was already $323, $34 more expensive than the flight he rejected. Before he even left his house, the low fare did its only job. It won the comparison before the real price existed. So how do you not become Alex? 4 rules. 1. Price the trip door to door, not gate to gate. Start with the fare. Then add what you actually need. Seat, bags both ways, transport to and from both airports, food during the travel window, Wi-Fi, parking, and a realistic buffer for schedule risk. Then compare airlines using that number. Not the first number, the final one. 2. Make your rules before checkout. For example, no paid seats on flights under 3 hours. Personal item only for trips under 3 days. If extras cross $75, I recompare airlines. Rules made in calm protect you from decisions made under pressure. 3. Separate need from comfort. A required bag is part of the trip's price. A premium seat is comfort. A 4 a.m. car might be unavoidable. Priority boarding usually isn't. When everything gets dumped into one bucket called travel, convenience disguises itself as necessity. 4. Give the trip a friction budget. Tickets $200? Allow yourself, say, another $100 for transport, food, and chaos. Once that's gone, every new convenience has to replace something, not add to it. Without a ceiling, the trip grows one small payment at a time, exactly like it did for Alex. Alex's mistake wasn't going. The wedding mattered. The memories were real. He'd do it again. His mistake was believing the first price he saw was the whole decision. A cheap flight can absolutely be a great deal, but only after the whole trip is priced. Before that, it's not a price. It's bait. So next time a ticket flashes up at $100 to $99, don't ask, can I afford this flight? Ask, what will this whole trip cost me? From my front door to my front door. Because the most expensive part of a cheap flight is everything they need you to buy to make it work. And the price isn't low when most of it hasn't shown up yet.